for offside, though.
No, not offside, clearly not, and good movement from Harry. Christian Eriksen dips in on his right foot, puts a perfect ball in there. I think it's just a smidge too high for him, you know, he can't get it down, he heads it over the bar. It's been a 50-50 game, you know, all to play for in the second period. Arsenal have done a good job as well.
And John, on the other side, Arsenal had a one-on-one, Aubameyang, and he was flagged for offside. Did you think it was off?
It was very, very tight. It's only when we saw the replay that we realised he was just on, in fact. But I think Arsenal have defended well, but they had to. I think that was the key today to Arsenal getting anything from the game, especially with the prowess that Spurs have, you know, in terms of Kane and Son and Dele Alli and Eriksen, of course. So, yeah, it's pretty much in the balance. But as I said, Arsenal, for me, they've always been great going forward, but can they defend against the top team when they've shown they can in that first half?
Robbie, they looked dangerous on the break, Arsenal, but their final ball seemed to lack in a bit of quality.
Yeah, he looks a threat, Aubameyang. You know, he's got a good record against Spurs as well. 4 goals in 4 games against them, obviously from his time at Dortmund. So, I think, you know, if you're looking for goals in that second half, Harry Kane or Aubameyang. This will be being 0-0 though.
If he scores Aubameyang, this will be his biggest goal against Arsenal, let me tell you that.
Chris, only one shot on target in the whole first half, so it's been a close game.
Yeah, but I mean, you expect, you know, it's a derby, you expect it to be close. What you would expect in the second half is for things to open up, and it'll probably be a moment of brilliance which decides the game.
They've got to win, haven't they, Arsenal?
Yeah.
Arsenal cannot not win this football match. Tottenham can take a draw.
OK, keep getting your questions in. We've had this one from Arsenal Report. Wenger seems to have finally understood that you need different tactics for different opponents. El Neni being brought in as a defensive midfielder, quite different to how they were set up against Everton last week, Chris.
Well, it's only half-time. Probably be saying something totally different, you know, at the end of the game. Well, you know, Wenger's gone to a back four. He's used a 3 at times this season. So, look, it's still whether El Neni will make that much of a difference. It's been a close game at the moment, but second half, you know, it's going to open up. I'm still not sure about El Neni.
Has Wenger taken the right approach to this game, though, John, with that lineup?
I think he has. I think he's got 2 defensive midfield players in there. You've got Ozil, you've got Wilshere going forward, looking to play off Aubameyang. We know the talent Mkhitaryan brings. So, yeah, it's a lot more exciting. It's a lot more free-flowing, isn't it? The Sanchez debacle, that's all over with now. So Arsenal can just get on with trying to win the Europa League and try and get as close as they can to that top 4 spot.
OK, expecting any changes in the second half as we come out, Robbie?
No. Jules?
No changes.
No, not much has happened, does it, at all in that first half?
Who would you take, Rob, as striker, Aubameyang or Harry Kane?
Harry Kane, no question about it. Factually,
best in the world?
Statistically, the best centre forward in the world. But fact.
John, would you agree with that? Aubameyang or Harry Kane?
I definitely take Kane, absolutely, in terms of what he brings you as a team. I think he's the ultimate centre-forward, both feet, great in the air, can get a hold of it. And I think he's England's best number 10 and he's England's best number 9.
This week, Tim, Vertonghen said that he was glad he chose Tottenham over Arsenal. What do you make of those comments?
He's got to say that, hasn't he? What can he, what else can he say, you know? And, no, we're going back to Aubameyang. He had an opportunity to come and play for Tottenham, but unfortunately the manager at the time didn't want to bring him in. So if Aubameyang was at Tottenham for the last couple of seasons, they might have picked up some silverware.
Who do you think, Chris? Sorry, Jules?
No, I'd go with Harry Kane.
Oh, well, why'd you ask the question then for?
Chris, if you could pick a club now, who would you play for, Arsenal or Tottenham?
Chelsea.
I would pick Tottenham. I wouldn't get into either lineup, having said that.
Well, we know that.
No, I just think Tottenham are, you know, are a little bit ahead of Arsenal at the moment. I think that you know, in terms of the North London clubs now, Tottenham are the stronger club. That's why I would prefer to go to Tottenham.
Good insight, Chris, thanks.
Well, we put a poll out on Twitter on BT Sports Score. We'd love you to get involved in it still. The poll is still running live. The poll asks who is most likely to dominate North London in the next 5 to 10 years. So keep your votes coming in.
That's a good one.
What is the vote at the moment? I believe it's 52% to Tottenham as it stands, that in the future they're going to dominate North London.
All depends if they keep hold of their players. You know, we know the importance of Harry Kane and Christian Eriksen, and I could name a few more. Hugo Lloris, you know, the boy you mentioned, Vertonghen, who's been excellent this season. Alderweireld, who's not signed a contract yet. They have to keep hold of them, otherwise it's back to square one.
I think as well, Tim, I think it's about time. You know, I think it was 20 years that Spurs finished behind Arsenal. It's about time, you know, Spurs. They are a big club, they're a huge club. They've got some fantastic players. I really like Spurs as a team now. But it's long overdue that they did put in a challenge, and they're starting to do that now.
Robbie, looking at that power shift that everyone's been talking about lately with Tottenham and Arsenal, do you think that could only happen if Tottenham change their wage structure?
Well, quite possibly, and if they keep all of the players, as Tim said, but they've got to concentrate on finishing above Arsenal to start with and win trophies. Arsene Wenger gets hammered, but he's won more trophies than Pochettino has in the last couple of years. Spurs have got to start winning trophies, I think, before people say about a power shift.
Yeah. So you think Wenger's a better manager than Pochettino then, Rob?
Over the years, yes. Over the years, fact.
And I think if Pochettino can achieve half in terms of longevity and trophies as what Wenger has done, I think Pochettino, I like him. I think then he can call himself a good manager. You can't compare Wenger and Pochettino. It's just ridiculous.
I agree with that. But at this moment in time, I think Pochettino, he certainly needs to add trophies. I think he said it himself. I mean, this is as good a Spurs side as there has been in years and years.
They need to win, though.
They did,
they do win a trophy.
But he's saying today that he doesn't think he needs to win a trophy. He's showing progression anyway.
Jake Perkins on Facebook has just commented on this. Pochettino is going to leave for Madrid at the end of the summer and he's going to take Harry Kane with him. What do you make of that, Tim?
He's well informed, isn't he, that guy?
He'll never be
I don't know about that. I think Pochettino's a good up-and-coming manager, but Real Madrid, it's a big one, big move for him. Obviously you've got a legend there who's not having a good time, but two Champions Leagues in 2 years, still in the Champions League with Zidane. It's a big shoes to fill. But
if they come calling, he's going to go, isn't he?
I mean, yeah. But he wants to. He's building something there at Tottenham. He's been given the time. He's been given the money. But how long can it continue? And it's all down to the purse strings and how they want to progress going forward.
OK, well, we'll be on air BT Sport 1 HD once the North London derby finishes, so around 2:45 will be going on. Robbie, let's talk about your game. You're watching West Ham today, and they've been in all sorts of trouble lately, haven't they? Off the pitch and on the pitch as well. A big loss against Brighton last week.
Yeah, it was a huge loss, and today that is a massive game, especially Watford coming into this game, beating Chelsea in the way they did, the way they finished the game strong as well. So David Moyes under a bit of pressure, big pressure.
And John, you're watching Swansea.
Yeah.
This is a must-win for them again. And they've had the bit of the new manager bounce with Carvajal coming in. They scored 8 goals midweek as well. So they've clearly got goals in their team. But
Absolutely.
This is a must-win for them as well.
Well, it is. They're in great form. They've only lost once in 10 games under Carvajal. That was against Spurs at the Liberty, where that was very controversial as well. Llorente's goal was offside. Sanchez may well have been sent off. So it's a game, but I just feel they've beaten Liverpool and they've beaten Arsenal, both at the Liberty in recent weeks. If Swansea are going to get anything today, they've got to adapt to the same approach. They can't all of a sudden think, well, do you know what, it's only Burnley, they're not as good as Liverpool are. So they're not, but football's not like that. It's not a switch. You can't just switch on and off. So I think if Swansea approach it in the right manner, it's a game that they can take 3 points.
Chris, Stoke, Brighton, 2 teams fighting for survival. Both teams desperate for a win today.
They're all big games this afternoon, Jules, at the bottom of the table. Yeah, Stoke can rein Brighton in. Paul Lambert, not everybody's cup of tea when he got the Stoke job. I know Rob was sad to see his friend Mark Hughes leave the post. But I feel it's a game that Stoke have to win. They've got some huge games coming up, I think, against 3 out of the top 6. So it's a game this afternoon. He will be earmarking this. They've had a little bit of a reaction, but a disappointing defeat against Bournemouth. I think it's a must-win for Stoke.
And Tim, not a great run for Everton at home to Crystal Palace today.
Not a great run, no. Strangely enough, Sam Allardyce's record is identical to David Unsworth.
OK.
So a lot of people raise eyebrows about that. Couldn't wait to get him out of the club, but he's done no better than what David Unsworth's done, and I would always maintain that he would have done exactly the same. I think Ronald Koeman would have kept this team in the league. I think they would have. There was no need. They panicked. There was no need for a change. And
they were desperately poor though under Koeman this year, weren't they?
They were, yeah, but it was a start. He would have done it. The players will do enough. How much does the manager actually make? What difference? Which just shows. I've just told you there, Unsworth. He stepped in for a few games. His record is identical to Sam Allardyce's.
And no Zaha for Palace as well.
Big miss, and they're not good travellers. You know, decent home record, not good travellers. It's going to be a big game. If Everton can win this today, it puts them out of danger, which I don't think they're in anyway.
You know, if you get a job in management again, if you lose 3 or 4 in a row, don't watch this show because he'll win you down. He'll win you out.
Listen, Rob, I go back to Marco Silva, yeah?
Yeah.
Everton were interested in paying big sum of money for him from Watford. Why don't they go and get him now? Then he's free. Go and get him now. So he's lost 4 or 5 games on the spin. Does that change their opinion? If it does, then the wrong people are making decisions at the football club for the long term.
We discussed Carvajal's appointment on this show 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And some people said, ridiculous appointment. How can you sack a manager how can you bring in a manager who's just been sacked from a championship team into a relegation dogfight, into a Premier League club, and some of the lads went hopeless, absolutely no clue whatsoever.
Who were they, John?
Who was it?
Plenty of you.
He's not naming
You have to
names.
name
Get the archive.
We need to go back.
I wasn't on that week, John.
Nobody
It wasn't me.
Nobody
Was it you?
said good appointment. Put it that
I
way.
think everyone would have thought that would be a very strange appointment. But sometimes the club fits, you know, and they just suit each other. And at the moment, you'd have to say he's done a good job. But so did Paul Clement last season. At the same time, winning, they were struggling. He kept them in the league, loses a few games. Now he's out of work.
OK, well, look,
A lot
more
of
of these...
finger pointing. Name names.
More of these discussions to
Must have
come
been
on
you, must
BT
have been
Sports
you.
Score. We're going to be live 2:45 following the North London derby on BT Sport 1 HD, and we're live and free for you to watch on Twitter as well. Enjoy the second half.